Good afternoon. Welcome to ELL Plus with me, Astra Mckenzie.
And me, Tom Parker. In this week's programme, a 9-year-old girl's emergency phone call that saved her mother's life.
They said because of my call, an ambulance came within 5 minutes.
In an ELL Plus exclusive, we speak to the Mayor of Lewisham about his experience of being homeless as a child.
And as a child, you're going to school and you're really trying to put a brave face on everything. You don't want anybody to think that there's any sort of problem.
And graffiti in Tower Hamlets is set to stay as the council brings in a new policy protecting street art. We want to hear from you, so follow and tweet us at East London Lines.
A 9-year-old Croydon schoolgirl, Rihanna Malcolm Moore, called 999 after her mother collapsed.
The London Ambulance Service has recognised her by awarding her with a certificate. Asa Hussain has more.
Ambulance service, is the patient breathing?
She's struggling to breathe.
Okay, and what's the address of the emergency? Did you say PT?
Papa Tango.
Oh, Papa Tango. Perfect.
Amazingly, 9-year-old Rihanna remained calm throughout the call, even when describing her mother's symptoms.
And is she clammy or having cold sweats?
Cold sweat.
Cold sweats.
But
Okay.
she's got chronic anemia.
She's got chronic anemia.
Charlie Romeo 7.
Rihanna was never taught the phonetic alphabet, but knew the importance of knowing it.
Yes, I don't think anyone taught me. I just searched up online and started to practice it and keep going over it and over it, so I knew that if I was in trouble, like, I could use it.
The London Ambulance Service gave Rihanna a certificate as recognition of her achievement. Her mom, Keisha, always told Rihanna about her illness, which sparked a passion for medicine from a young age.
Yeah, she's just always had that interest, so I've never really hidden any of my illnesses, any illnesses that I have. I've never hidden them from her. I've always been quite open and things like that, so she's always had a keen interest in that. And then she said to me one day, "Mum, I want to be a heart surgeon, but I don't just want to be a heart surgeon, I want to be a heart surgeon for children."
The London Ambulance Service answered nearly 140,000 calls in January this year and responded to over 100,000 of them, almost 7,000 more than the monthly average. With resources stretched and demand on the rise, London Ambulance Service reminds the public to only call 999 in an emergency and to teach children proper procedure. Acting like young Rihanna did will help save lives. Asra Hussain, East London Lines.
A wasteland in Lewisham where gangs used to hide knives has been transformed into a community garden. A decade on, the garden is helping keep young people off the streets. Malachi Fernandez went to visit.
Spring is right around the corner and this garden is beginning to flourish. Since the death of 17-year-old Shaquan Fearon in 2015, Brockley residents have been even more united in trying to end the risk of knife crime. Projects like Friendsby Gardens have given the community something to call their own. Every week, volunteers come along to this social hub. Various clubs promote gardening as a therapeutic activity. Locals can build, plant, grow vegetables and socialise with friends. A decade ago, this plot of land looked very different. Nadine Hibbert is the chair of Friendsby Gardens. She has been the main figure in its transformation.
30, 40, 50 years ago, this was a no-go area. This was a wasteland. When it was cleared, they found hypodermic needles, they found knives, they found all rotting food, all manner of stuff was found in this area. So very much for the people living on the estate behind, this was somewhere that you kind of tried to avoid or go all the way around just because it was really dark and uninviting.
The garden is always open to members of the public. Parents often bring their children here after school and during the holidays. They can grow their own flowers, play in the pond, and engage in the different available clubs.
It's great for the kids because they can come here, it's enclosed, it's an easy way for them to get close to nature, play with water, mud.
Gardens are very useful, helpful for children, and they do a lot of activities.
I like this is like a second home to me, so I thoroughly enjoy it here.
Over £25,000 has been donated to help build a new structure on the land. Big companies like Mace, who built the Shard, have offered their assistance to Friendsbury Gardens. Here are the foundations of a new building project here at Friendsbury Gardens. The aim is to build a new classroom and shelter for visiting children. Members of the local community are encouraged to participate in the project by creating their own tiles to add sentimental value. With levels of knife crime across the capital at a record high, many communities may look to follow the work here in Brockley. Malachi Fernandez, East London Lines.
We now have some breaking news. The man stabbed to death in Hackney yesterday has been named. Eliza Ketcher is live in Hackney. Eliza, can you tell us anything more about this?
Hi, Tom. Well, in the last hour, police have named yesterday's stabbing victim as 26-year-old David Martinez. This is the 21st knife-related death in the capital this year. The Home Secretary has proposed a £15 million plan to improve police resources, putting more officers on the streets and increasing their use of stop-and-search powers. But many people feel this is still not enough to really stem the problem at its root.
So, Eliza, what preventative measures can be taken to stop this happening in the future?
Well, I'm here outside a community centre in Hackney, which aims to reduce gang-related crime in East London. It runs workshops to educate young people about the consequences of carrying knives. But while community centres such as these are doing all they can to help young people stay off the streets, this week's surge in violent crime begs the question of what more can still be done. Back to you in the studio.
In a bid to create a smoke-free generation, the All-Parliamentary Group on Smoking and Health is proposing the national age of smoking be raised from 18 to 21. Lewisham, Hackney and Tower Hamlets are amongst the highest percentage of smokers in London.
And with National Stop Smoking Day fast approaching, our reporter Humayun Nazir found out how this change could affect our future.
Smoking. Once the epitome of style and sophistication, but in recent years, this image has gone up in smoke. With the indoor smoking ban being the most impactful change in legislation so far, the APPG on Smoking and Health are campaigning for a 3-year jump in the legal smoking age. Many are hoping the introduction of these changes will ignite a smoke-free future for the UK.
More laws just make things more complicated. I remember being at school, you could get cigarettes, you could buy them off friends, anything.
Like, what's going to happen? Are people going to get stopped in the street if they don't look 21 and they're smoking? Like, how do you even enforce that?
It is about time for the government or whoever that is behind this to make sure that people are well encouraged that smoking, or tell the truth is told, that smoking is not good.
However, pressure groups like Forest are all fired up against the proposal. Simon Clarke, the director of Forest, said, "The real sickness in society is not smoking, but the creeping prohibition that is removing our ability to make choices and take personal responsibility for our own lives." Smoking prevalence in England has just dipped below 15%. For the first time ever, tobacco sales are no longer vital in keeping small corner shops afloat. Thank you. Although it appears that UK is turning the tide on tobacco, smoking still remains one of the leading causes of preventable deaths in the world. Despite tobacco companies having warning labels like these, MP still insists more needs to be done in order to stamp out the use of tobacco in UK. According to the group TMA, the total revenue from tobacco companies in UK continues to increase, despite NHS providing services. According to the ONS, a person's likelihood of smoking increases with the level of deprivation in their neighbourhood. Tower Hamlets has the highest proportion of smokers, with 22% of the population choosing to light up. For Jane Avis, the MP for Croydon and Cabinet Member of Families and Health and Social Care, these changes come as a breath of fresh air.
It's not good enough. We don't want any young people smoking, taking up this dreadful drug. And that's what it is, it's a killer drug. So though we're proud that we're doing a lot, we want it lower, and we are going to work hard for that.
They remain divided on how much good the introduction of an increased age limit would be in discouraging future generation from smoking. Humayun, Nazir, East London Lines.
Now we have Puja Mazumder in the studio with some local news.
Thanks, Tom. Labour councils are removing Home Office immigration officers in order to stop a no-billing policy for a hostile environment for migrants. Damon Egan, the mayor of Lewisham, said that Lewisham will always support refugees. Our reporter Irina Restigeva interviewed Janet Debbie, MP for Lewisham East, about the importance of this support.
I'm really pleased with Lewisham Council's decision to remove immigration officers from their department. And the reason being is that it's misconstrued what their role is within the council by migrants, asylum seekers and refugees. But also I think this will give them a peace of mind when they come to the council seeking support and help, that they won't feel as if they're being interrogated in some way because there's immigration officers there.
Coming to our ELL website, we have drivers and passenger escorts of Hackney school buses for disabled children are planning to strike in late April and early March. The industrial action follows a dispute with Hackney Council compensation claims over split shifts. For more stories, you can go to eastlondonlines.co.uk. That's it for Borough News. Back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Puja.
For the first time, guidelines have been put in place in Tower Hamlets for graffiti. The council have proposed a scheme that allows street art to stay on the streets, while offensive or unsightly graffiti will be cleaned away. Rebekah Rimkute has this report.
Unsightly graffiti or works of art. Street artists have been leaving their mark on the building of Brick Lane for decades.
By protecting street art and clearing up unsightly tags, East London will continue to attract tourists from all around the world. Local communities that encourage art will be helping identify which parts are valuable.
But celebrated works could find themselves at the risk of removal under a new council policy. This aims to tackle the growing problems of graffiti following over 300 residents' complaints in the last 6 months alone.
We've agreed a policy which says here's what we're thinking about when it comes to street art. You know, is the owner of the building happy with it being there? Does it generally look more like art than a horrible little tag? Is it something that is offensive? If it had racist content, we want to get rid of it anyway. Is it on a listed building? Probably not appropriate on a listed building. So we've now got a framework which council staff can look at.
Under the policy, the council will remove graffiti which it considers to be offensive. But critics say this could risk whitewashing over vibrant parts of the community. Street artist Pegasus moved to London 16 years ago for its iconic urban art scene. He feels that the subjectivity makes art difficult to distinguish from vandalism.
This is a very grey area because even taggers, a lot of people consider taggers to just be vandals and a nuisance, but I actually quite find certain tagging quite beautiful.
The council claimed the policy could help manage antisocial behaviour in the area. But the popularity of street arts in East London could fade as artists find themselves under new restrictions. Rebekah Rimkute, East London Lines.
Still to come, our exclusive interview with the Mayor of Lewisham. See you after the break. In an exclusive interview with ELL Plus, the Mayor of Lewisham, Damon Egan, has shared his extraordinary story of being homeless, not once, but twice. It's now his personal mission to help as many families as he can in a similar situation. Our reporter, Irina Boardbar, spoke to him.
So there was a time when you were actually homeless. How old were you?
Yeah, so I went through homelessness with my mum and my sister when I was 14. And it was a result of my mum's relationship breakup and not having anywhere to go. Now, we were very lucky in that we had a fantastic social circle. So my mum's friends, my grandparents. So there were always different homes and different places that we could stay. But I think one of the things that always sits with you after going through an experience like that is like the vulnerability that you have. And as a child, you're going to school and you're really trying to put a brave face on everything. You don't want anybody to think that there's any sort of problem. So you really go out of your way to make everything seem normal. But then also as a child, seeing the impact that it has on parents. So seeing the impact that it had on my mum. Like, it's really difficult for parents in that situation. It's really difficult. And it is so sad that, you know, this was over 20 years ago, that this is happening today, and it's got even worse. So the amount of time now that it takes for people to get homes, people can be in this situation of being homeless, not having a stable permanent home for years. And we've got many Lewisham families in that situation.
So how does all this experience influence you now in your crusade against homelessness?
I joined the council in 2010, so I was a councillor for 8 years before I became mayor. Obviously you've been through many of those experiences, so you really understand the kind of processes, and also like how difficult it can be for people to access accommodation, access housing, and how bureaucratic and difficult the system can be. I think residents, when they speak to me, they like that I understand some of those issues that they're going through. And since 2010, it's changed a lot in London, in that the situation has become a lot worse, with many, many more families experiencing homelessness.
So did you share some of this personal experience with people who would come to you for advice?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can share your stories, give kind of tips. And also what's really nice, there was one case, I remember that the mum had a child similar age to me and going through exams, and the child was there and really being able to kind of tell my story. But I think the child also, who has now gone on and is at a very prestigious drama school, gave her confidence as well to kind of know that someone had been through it, you can get through it, but it's the kind of the getting through it which is the important bit. So hopefully that helped them.
It's the first anniversary since Lewisham was chosen as the pilot site for Refill London. Over 100 businesses have joined the scheme to continue the fight for a plastic-free future.
The charity provides water to people who bring their refillable water bottles to participating locations. Jemima reports.
The average Londoner uses 175 single-use plastic bottles a year, and only half of them get recycled. Refill London want to stop this number getting any higher. The charity have worked with the Lewisham Council and local businesses to encourage them to offer free water refills to people with reusable bottles. Isla Ray in Deptford is one of the businesses that gives free water refills.
It's great for local communities to come together and raise awareness about the fact that, you know, you don't need to buy it from a supermarket, you don't need to buy bottles from a supermarket, you can go into any establishment and get water from there for free.
Not only does the scheme help reduce single-use plastic, but it can also attract more business to the local area. Research by Recycle for London states that 87% of Lewisham residents are committed to reducing their single-use plastic waste. One of the easiest ways they can do this is to bring a reusable water bottle with them. This means that they're saving money, but they are also helping to save the environment. To find the closest refill station, you can download the Refill app. It can remind you to take your water bottle with you when you leave the house. Lots of businesses display a sticker that shows that they're part of the refill scheme. Although businesses may be offering free water to tempt passers-by into their shop, the scheme has a serious motive behind it. The carbon footprint of bottled water is 500% higher than producing tap water, and a lot of it is shipped across the world. After a year of supporting the scheme, Lewisham Council are aiming to stop using all single-use plastics in the borough by 2022. Jemima, East London Lines.
Now for our sports news, we have Dan Wareing.
Thank you, Tom. So, All good things come to an end, and it took 9 whole games for any team to slay the London Royals. But a defeat away to Cheshire this week put an end to a fantastic run for the Basketball League's new boys. Although their home streak remains intact after they came from behind to beat Plymouth Raiders in what turned out to be a very feisty fixture. Strong Moments handed the Royals a 102 to 93 point victory. The result leaves them sat 4th in the BBL League. However, the Royals won't be dwelling too much on the Cheshire result and will be looking to bounce back this weekend against the London Lions in the Cup final. Be sure to keep up to date with that. Now for some football. After losing to Manchester United last week, Roy Hodgson was hoping he could get a win at Burnley, and they did just that. The Eagles flew out of the traps and emphatically secured all 3 points courtesy of goals from Batshuayi and Wilfried Zaha. The 3-1 result lifts them to 13th place and only 6 points off breaking into the top 10. That's it for sports. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Dan.
Canary Wharf has kick-started celebrations on this year's International Women's Day with an exhibition named Tough Women in Sport and Adventure. London-based photographer Nyla Salmon said her aim is to inspire women to break barriers. Fiona Zhang has more.
Balance for better. This is the theme of this year's International Women's Day campaign, which encourages people around the world to take action towards achieving gender equality. Women play different roles in society, proving that they are tougher than expected.
When we talk about outdoor adventures and extreme sports, people might think it's a man's business and even men can do better than a woman. However, women are tough enough to break the barriers. They are inspiring more and more women to get one step forward to chase their dreams.
Sport and Adventure. The exhibition celebrates the diverse stories of 10 women who all share the same spirit.
I was inspired to do this project because I met a wonderful woman called Kiko Matthews in 2017 who was attempting to break the world record for rowing the Atlantic solo. In March 2018, 49 days at sea, she broke the world record and I was immensely proud of Kiko. And it was at that point that I felt like I wanted to celebrate her story along with 9 other incredible women.
Laura Kennington is a British solo cyclist. She has ridden all 1,600 miles of the world's longest coastal road in Ireland.
I think the biggest inspiration for me now is thinking of women growing up and actually the role models that they have to look up to, because women in sport are really powerful, and I think that we could do with a lot more rawness and authenticity in media rather than having these perfect women everywhere.
Sport and adventure are just a few ways women continue to thrive. The exhibition will remain on display until early April. Fiona Zhang, East London Lines.
That's it for now until September. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like our Facebook page at East London Lines.
Also, head to our website, eastlondonlines.co.uk, for more news on Lewisham, Hackney, Tower Hamlets and Croydon. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye.